Hey Ken, first of all, I'm sorry this took so long. I just wasn't happy with the way the book was looking, and it took a lot of work to get it to where I can present it to you, and it looks good. So I'm going to walk you through how to look at your book in Kindle, and it's pretty much the same process in Nook and in Kobo. I'm using Kindle because it's the most popular and it's the most difficult to use. So in other words, you're going to learn how to use the most difficult self-publishing platform for ebook, and then it's downhill. It gets easier as you go along. So first thing I'm going to do is send you a link to your book. This is using the cloud. So all you got to do is download it. You need to download the EPUB version. So I'm pointing at it, but you can see it unknown.ebpb, which just means ebook, e-publishing platform. So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to click on download, and you want to download it to a place where you can use it easily and easily find it. This went to my downloads folder, so I'm going to open it in Finder, which is my internet, my Explorer program. I'm using a Mac. I'm going to move it to my desktop. It's already there, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And I'm going to say replace. So I'm using exactly the same file you are. Now I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go to Amazon, which is Kindle, kdp.amazon.com. You can see it up there in my address bar. Hit enter. It's going to take me to the landing page for Kindle, and you sign in with your Amazon account. If you don't have an Amazon account, you'll need to create one. You will need to definitely create a Kobo account and a Barnes & Noble account for your Nook. So I'm going to hit sign in because I've already been signing in. What you need to do is create a new title. This is just telling them a little bit about your book. But the only thing that you want to do now is preview your book. So you don't want to enter in all this information and accidentally publish your book. I've had clients that's happened to before. Just need to be careful and only preview right now. And you're going to delete this test book when you're ready to publish and create a whole new file. So I just created it. So I'm going to do Ken test book. You can name it whatever you want, and just ignore all the stuff and scroll down. Just keep scrolling down. This is where you enter in your I keep pointing at my computer like you can see it. This is where you enter in your book cover image. I'm just doing the content for you. Book content file, browse, and navigate to where you had your where you saved your thing. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop. Taylor formatted. You can even name it something else if you want to. Just don't change that dot extension there. And I'm going to choose that. And now we tell jokes. It's going to take a while for this to download. Usually it takes about 3 or 4 minutes. And I can tell you now, I've warned you that your book is going to look a lot different. You used formatting to structure your book more than most authors do. This isn't a bad thing, but it is difficult whenever you start to move stuff to ebook, because ebook readers do not like blank space. You had a space between every paragraph I had to remove, and you had a lot of lists that had spaces in between the lists, and you had some images. Now, I was able to keep about half of your images. About half of them had to go because they couldn't show up correctly in all the formats, and it just wasn't looking good. So I removed some images. If I removed an image that you just breaks your heart to lose and you cry yourself to sleep at night every night because the image isn't there, let me know and we can see what we can do. But in my professional opinion, you really need to remove some of the images. And I removed all of the captions because the ebooks do not like captions. I do have some clients that have captions in their books, but we're talking like 2 images, not a whole bunch, and they weren't really, from an editorial standpoint, they really weren't useful. They're entertaining, especially to coaches and stuff like that. They like to see pictures that you have, but you really need to keep your ebook content oriented and not image oriented. So now, fortunately, all you gotta do is scroll down a little bit, preview your book. Now the Amazon, you save your changes and continue. All you're doing is saving the title of the book. Like I was going to say, this is really cool because Amazon gives you a lot of different ways to look at your book. And first of all, I want to show you what they do with your images. They resize them according to the preference of the platform. Now, when I say platform, I mean the way that each device, that you can read a Kindle on, like your iPhone, your iPad, your Kindle Fire, your Droid phones, your other smartphones, they all have a different way to read the Kindle book. So they all read images differently. They all read spaces differently. They all read tabs differently. So we had to remove as much as possible that isn't text. And we're dealing with, I tell my clients, we're dealing with Stone Age technology here. This platform was only created for text. It gets very confused with images and captions and lists, and it even says in the booklet for this thing on how to use it, it doesn't even support lists. And so there are no actual lists in your book. It's just regular paragraphs that look like lists. So this is what we have. This is right here. If you look at the top right, it's a Kindle Fire HDX, which is the latest or one of the latest Kindle editions, Kindle devices. So you have your title. I created this copyright page for you. I took credit for ebook design by Sharper Quill Books. We can take that out if you don't want it there. It's okay. It's your book. But I went ahead and put it in. And I'm going to change this when you're ready. I'm going to change this ebook edition to Kindle edition. Now all these platforms, they want to have their edition named, or they'll take it off. Like you'll be able to publish this, and then somebody they're going to run a computer program and find that Kindle isn't mentioned, and they pull the book. All we got to do is change this to Kindle. I'm having you use this to preview your book right now. This is your table of contents. Now you have a second table of contents, and I can probably take out these spaces. I just saw it now. Believe me, this is nothing compared to what it looked like earlier. The NCX view is, whenever you're reading on a device, you click a button usually that says table of contents. I didn't even want to put this table of contents in it because they click on a button and this is their table of contents that pops up on their screen. So you see that there are some of them with secondary headings. I just click on that and it takes me to the secondary heading. And so I'll just show you what your chapters look like. It's just regular text and you have an image down there. For some reason, this one didn't take your italics over. That's a common thing. That just it reads everything different. And we have italics here. So this is the first time I'm looking through this. I've seen it on my preview, but not on this preview. So you get to see, and then you get to see how it looks. And then I'm going to drag down here. I'm going to scroll to the right, or go up to the top. See this button here on the upper right? You can turn your device horizontally and look at it and see how it appears horizontally. And then you can choose a different device. I'm going to choose an iPad because that's very common. And it looks really good. Kindle DX. Like that kind of gives you the way it looks. So play around with it, and one thing to look for, look at the table of contents, make sure you like the way your table of contents is, see if there are any errors. I proofread it again and corrected a lot of stuff. It might be good for you if you can stand it to read through it. I tried to make as little changes as possible. Now, there are a few headings that I had to make because you had lists that were so close together and they needed space between the lists. So I put in a few headings. I just moved the tiniest little thing around. Like you might have had I remember one, you had a sentence with the first few letters in bold, and I just used those first few words in bold to make a heading to make that list separate out from the rest of the text, because it looked like, there's just like a bunch of listed items, and then there were just a few bold words to separate the text, and it didn't look good in your ebook. So I made some very, very minor, maybe 10 or 11 very minor changes to the format of the book. So just look through it, see what you think. I think it looks great. You had a great book, and we'll take that next step soon. I'm expecting this to turn over. If you need to make any changes, or if you have any suggested changes, we can talk about it, or you can send me an email, and we'll work through it. But well done.